Alright, here we go. Hopefully by now you should know how to open Microsoft Excel and really any Microsoft Office program. Remember, it's down in the Start menu, Programs, and be able to find Microsoft Office. Excel is the second from the top, so that is the program that we are working in today. Notice I do not have the information that we did last class. Just like my car, I also don't have my flash drive, so this ought to be interesting. We are going to try to work at it as if I had the information, and I want you to input it where necessary on your spreadsheet. So when I tell you to put it in the next column, that's exactly what I want you to do. Put it in the next column. I am going to pretend I have this information. I don't remember the exact pie names or the exact location of those pie names, so I'm going to work with some of the figures, but my main objective is to show you how to input these functions and to use Excel to calculate and to discover information that you might not have otherwise been able to obtain with your data. Today we are going to input for the very first column next to where we left off. I want to start to put the price of each individual piece of pie. If I were to sell this in a store, in a bakery, in a restaurant, I'm going to input what I would sell it per piece of pie. This will begin, sorry, it's not an earthquake, I'm just moving it around. This will begin the conversation of food cost versus profit and being able to use Excel to calculate that for if you were to use a similar program in a restaurant to be able to calculate the profit and the expenses of individual menu items. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to input numbers that for pretty much randomly as to how much per piece of pie we're going to sell in our restaurant. If this was a pretend restaurant, we are going to sell the first pie for $2. I'm just going to go down 3. Now, notice that right now it's going to $2 on my screen. It's probably not going to $2 on your screen. If it is, great. If it is not, here's how you do it. There is a function over here. If I zoom out a little bit, and be able to use my mouse here. Okay, currency right here. Yours says probably general or number. Probably it says number right now. When you hit the drop down arrow, it's going to give you some options. We want currency because we're dealing with numbers that are in dollars. So we want to make sure that it gives us the dollar sign and it lets us know in dollars how much we are making. So I'm going to select currency. Now when you input your currency, if you input 2 and it just says $2 but it does not give you the cents, the numbers past the decimal, you're going to have to increase the decimal, which is this button right here with the funky arrow going that way. Okay, so that is the increase decimal, which if you hit it twice will give you the 2 decimal places that you see here that are zeros. So now once you have that, you're going to have to click on each individual cell to make that a currency. So what I would do is instead of doing all that, you're going to input your numbers and then go back, and I'll show you what to do so that you're not having to input that currency every single cell. So we're just going to put the numbers, and I know that you're not in currency yet. Mine was preset from a previous purpose, so I'm just going to input my data and then show you how to change all of it at the same time. So for the second one, I'm going to input $1.50, okay, $2, $2.50, $3, say $2, $2.50, $1.50, $3, $2.25, just to change it up. Okay, so that's our 11 pieces of pie. I understand that you have your columns set up differently, so don't freak out. Just including this information for you so that you can put it where it needs to go, which should be the very next column in your spreadsheet. Okay, so now we have the numbers, or rather the amount per slice of pie. Now in this cell right next to it, a new column, is where I want to input how many, or excuse me, how much I was able to sell. So I am going to input how many pieces of pie I sold in this particular week. So let's just say, for randomness, 15, 20, 14, 18, 23, 21, I meant to say 14 here. One moment as I put 14. As you can tell, these videos are unedited, so I will be making mistakes just like I do in class. So 15 is next. 20, let's say 16, and just for kicks and giggles, we'll do 8. Alright, so now we've inputted the amount of pie that you were able to sell in terms of pieces. This begins the process of knowing how much you earned per week in pies. Now you are only calculating how much you sold in pieces of pie, and that's okay, because if that's how you distribute your menu item, then you want to calculate it based on how many you sell, because when you determine that, then you can go back and figure out, well, how much did it cost me per slice of pie, and to see how much in profit. But we'll get there. First, we're going to do a function that's going to be in the next column. Now, in this next column, I'm going to have you input in your taskbar here, which is this bar right here. I'm going to call it the taskbar from now on. You're going to input the equal sign. The equal sign indicates any time that there's going to be a formula or function done to a set of numbers. So every time you want to do that, you need to press an equal sign. The next step is you also need to have a parentheses, which is Shift 9. that gets you the left. It kind of looks like if you were to do it, look at it upside down, it looks like a frown right now, but we're going to fix that by putting in my first cell. Now remember, it's letter, number. So letter is A, my number is 1. It's going to highlight the cell that I inputted. Now, to get the total for each pie that you sold in terms of pieces, we need to multiply, because that's going to show me how much money did I earn. Now this is easy math. 2 times 15. We know what it's going to be, but I'm going to show you how to put the function in there and then be able to show you kind of a cheat way of calculating the rest. So we're going to do A1, also a very good steak sauce by the way. A1 shift 8. Shift 8 gives us that sign. Anytime that you use that sign, it's indicating to the computer multiply. So I'm going to press shift 8, input my second cell, which is B, also 1, because I'm still in the cell, the row here. And then I need to close it off with shift 0, which is the right parenthesis. Now, I'm not finished yet. I have to press enter so that it will calculate it. As we know, it's 30. Okay? Here's kind of a cheat way of doing it. First, we're going to make this currency, because when we times $2 by 15, that's giving us a form of currency. It's showing us how much we earned. So I'm going to go back over here where it says general, and I'm going to put currency. That's going to make that $30, telling me for our first pie I earned $30. So the cheater way. Not really a cheater way. It's probably the way that you're supposed to do it, instead of individually putting that information into each cell. But remember the little black box that I had you do last class that I told you, whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen? Well, this time we're actually going to use that for its intended purpose. So when you see the little black box right there in the corner and the cross come up, click, hold, and we're going to drag this down. It's going to highlight some of these cells all the way up down to your last pie. Click off of it. Notice that they're not all 30. In fact, they're all the calculations. You can do 3 times 2 equals 6. That's $60. Okay? And it gives you the calculations. Reason why? Here we put A1 times B1. That little black box is designed so that when you have the same information put in there, it's going to add 1 every single time. So if I have A1 times B1, this one is A2 times B2, A3 times B3. Notice that it goes up by 1, so that you don't have to input all that information into the computer. Okay, I'm going to stop this video and pick it up with another video, so hold on tight.